potential for point charge. Potential for point charge. We would be using the relation that we have, that potential is going to be equal to minus integral of E dot dl. And we know the electric field formula. The electric field formula is given by Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square in the radial direction. The electric field definition is given, electric field formula is given for the point charge as Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square in the radial direction. So V, the potential is equal to of minus integral Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square dot AR dot dl. Now AR is nothing but the radial direction. Can you please tell me what would be the value of dl dot AR? dl dot AR. What would be the value of dl dot AR? Can you please tell me? The differential length that we have learned earlier. The differential length that we have learned earlier. Differential length. Because AR is there, radial direction is there, so we have to go for the spherical coordinate systems. So dl is given by dr AR, d theta a theta, d phi a phi. But because you are having the angles here, we have taken r here and you have taken r sin theta here. Now because the question is about dl dot AR, so I would be considering it is equal to the of dr. So V is equal to minus integral of Q dr divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. So whatever constants are there, they can come outside. Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught integral dr by r square. So which is going to be equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r. This is nothing but the potential in the case of the point charge. This is nothing but the potential in the case of the point charge. So when we are moving ahead, we should not lose sight of the basics that we have learned earlier, okay? We should always test our understanding. We should always test our memory. I feel that is where your short note is going to help you. And those who have completed, please find the potential for infinite line charge. Find the potential, the point 9, it's a potential. It's a potential for infinite line charge. So potential for infinite line charge. So we know the formula for electric field, rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught rho A rho cap. So the potential is given by minus integral of E dot dl. So minus integral of rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught rho A rho cap dot dl. So this A rho cap dot dl, so minus is there already. So rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught will come outside. So A rho dot dl is going to become d rho by rho. So how we are getting d rho is once again because of the differential length that we have learned in the case of the cylindrical coordinate systems. So dl dot a rho is going to be equal to d rho. So we know the result of the integration, it's going to be ln of rho. So rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught ln of rho with a minus sign. So if I take the minus inside the natural logarithm, then this is going to become rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught ln of 1 by rho. So the potential V is given by rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught ln of 1 by rho. Please take a question. Given the potential function, in free space, Given the potential function in free space, given the potential function in free space to be, given the potential function in free space to be, V of x is equal to V of x is equal to 50x square plus 50y square plus 50z square holds comma the magnitude in volts per meter, the magnitude in volt per meter, the magnitude in volt per meter, magnitude in volt per meter, and the direction of electric field, and the direction of electric field at point, and the direction of electric field at point 1, minus 1, 1, and the direction of electric field at the point 1, minus 1, 1, where dimensions are in meter, where dimensions are in meter. So I repeat the question once again. Given the potential function in free space to be V of x is equal to 50x square plus 50y square plus 50z square volts, the magnitude in volts per meter and the direction of the electric field at the point 1, minus 1, 1, where dimensions are in meters. Option A. It is I plus j plus k. I plus j plus k. 100, I plus j plus k. This is the first option. The second option is 100 root 3, I minus j plus k. Option C, 100 root 3 minus I minus j minus k by root 3. And option D is 100 root 3 minus I plus j minus k by root 3. So I can see many of the answers, many of you have answered it as option D. Let us check whether it's a correct answer or not. So V of x is given to us and we have to find the electric field, and we know the formula, a very important formula, that the electric field is nothing but the gradient, minus of the gradient of the potential. So the gradient of the potential is given by the formula dou v by dou x in the x direction, dou v by dou y in the y direction, and dou v by dou z in the z direction. Right, so minus dou v by dou x is nothing but 100x in the x direction plus 100y in the y direction plus 100z in the z direction. This is nothing but the electric field. The electric field at the point 1, minus 1, 1 will be what? If you take the minus inside, it is minus 100 ax plus 100 ay minus 100 az. This is the electric field. So if you see the magnitude of the electric field, it will be 100 root 3. Whereas if you see the direction of it, it is given by the electric field divided by its magnitude, which will be equal to minus ax plus ay minus az by root 3. Okay, so I, j, k or ax, ay, az mean the same thing. So the answer for this question is option D. Option D is the correct answer. Next question. A point charge of 1 nanocoulomb. A point charge of 1 nanocoulomb. A point charge of 1 nanocoulomb is placed in a space is placed in a space, a point charge of 1 nanocoulomb is placed in a space with a permittivity of 8.854 into 10 power minus 12 farad per meter. Is placed in a space with a permittivity of 8.854 into 10 power minus 12 farad per meter, as shown in the figure. Full stop. The potential difference VPQ. Between two points P and Q. At a distance of 40 mm. And 20 mm respectively. From point charge is. So the figure which is given is the charge particle. You are having a point P, you are having a point Q. So point P is at a distance of 40 mm and point Q is a distance of 20 mm. And the charge which is given for us is 1 nanocoulomb. So let me repeat the question once again. A point charge of 1 nanocoulomb is placed in a space with a permittivity of 8.854 into 10 power minus 12 farad per meter, as shown in the figure. Full stop. The potential difference VPQ between two points P and Q at a distance of 40 mm and 20 mm respectively from point charge is. So one question I wanted to ask you, because I have seen this that students get confused, and naturally confused because there is no clarity in the question which is mentioned. But just I wanted to ask you that if the question is asked to find out the potential difference between A and B, would you do VA minus VB or VB minus VA? If the question is asked regarding the potential difference between A and B, would you do VA minus VB or VB minus VA? This requires some clarification. See, we have to go for the first one. Okay. See, X and Y, for example, if there is X and Y, potential difference between X and Y, so you will always do Vx minus Vi. This is something which you have to keep a note of. I understand that a difference can be anything. This minus this or this minus this. But according to how the questions are framed and how the answers are given, I would tell you that this is equally correct to say that if the question is asked based on A and B, potential difference between A and B, we have to consider it as VA minus VB, even though they are mentioning it as VAB. Because this is something that I am following over here to explain you that VAB means that you are following the path of moving from A to B. You are moving from A to B. Okay, so when you are moving from the point A to point B, the work done per unit charge against the field is what we have mentioned it as VAB. But once you go to subject like maybe electronic devices or analog electronics, then you will see that, okay, if you are having a point called as the base, you have a point called as a collector, then the potential difference between base and collector, you will be writing VBC is equal to VB minus VC. Okay, so the potential difference between B base and collector is written as VB minus VC. So this can be a point of confusion for many of the students. I have observed this particular thing, right? Because here we are learning it as VAB is nothing but what? The potential difference between VB and VA. This is what we are following in this particular subject to indicate that the potential per unit charge in moving from A to B, because this is how the literature is presented for us. Okay, but in the questions, in the GATE questions, I am giving you the clarification that every time if the question is asked, find the potential difference between point A and point B, we should always do VA minus VB. We should always do VA minus VB. This is for your clarification. Unless and until they are mentioning that we are moving from the point A to point B and find out the potential gained, then we would say that it is VB minus VA. If you are moving from A to B, this clarification is given. But if you are asked two different points and find out the potential difference between A and B, we should always go for VA minus VB. We should always go for VA minus VB. Okay, so this is something you have to take care. So you should not argue that, sir, my EMT faculty has told that, sir, VAB means VB minus VA. That's why I am following this. So it is all dependent upon how the concept is explained, how the questions are framed. Based on that, you have to use your discretion of selecting it. So I am giving you the warning here that whenever the question is asked that find out the potential difference between the point A and point B, we should always go for VA minus VB. This is one point you have to keep in your mind. Irrespective of the subject, whatever I am talking is irrespective of the subject. Now coming back here, so what I can do is that because the potential difference between P and Q points are given, so I will be finding VP minus VQ. So VP is nothing but Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught at the distance of 40 mm. The distance of 40 mm, which will be, what is Q? It is 10 power minus 9 divided by 4 pi. Here it is 1 by 36 pi, right, into 40 into 10 power minus 3. So this is 9 times, of course 10 power minus 9, I have missed it out. The 10 power minus 9 should be there, it will get cancelled out over here. So you'll be having something like 9 by 40 into 1000. Right, so 0 gets cancelled out, this is 25 times. So this value is going to be 225. This is VP. So VQ is going to be what? So basically VQ is nothing but a lesser distance, exactly half distance. Exactly half distance, and it gets inversely proportional here. So naturally this should be 450. Because just the distance becomes half. So if the distance becomes half, the potential is going to be increased, doubled. So that is why we are having VQ is going to be equal to 450 volts. So VP minus VQ will be equal to the of minus 225 volts. It's going to be minus 225 volts. In integral, what is the upper limit and the lower limit? See, if the question is that we have to find VP minus VQ, then you have to understand that minus of integral of, you are moving from the point Q to the point P. You are moving from the point Q to the point P. E dot dl. Right, so yes, very good. The answer is option A. Right. So yes, so what is given here? A hollow metallic sphere of radius r is kept at a potential of 1 volt. So it is kept at a potential of 1 volt. A metallic sphere of radius r. Smaller, right? Smaller. So here the potential of this particular metallic surface that we are having is going to be 1 volt. Now the question is that the total electric flux coming out of the concentric spherical surface of radius capital R. So if you are having a radius of capital R and it is given that the capital R value is greater than that of small r, the capital R value is greater than that of small r, it means that this is nothing but the capital R value. Right? So what is the electric flux coming out of the concentric spherical surface of radius capital R? So what is the total amount of flux which is coming out? We know from the Gauss law that the total amount of flux which is coming outside would be equal to what? From the Gauss law, the total amount of electric flux which is coming out of the closed surface is equal to the charge which is enclosed. Now how to find the charge? We know the potential. The potential is given by Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R. This is given as 1 volt. It means Q is going to be equal to 4 pi epsilon naught small r. Q is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught small r. So we know the Q is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught small r. We are substituting it. So we are finding that the electric flux which is coming out is equal to the charge enclosed. And the charge enclosed itself is nothing but 4 pi epsilon naught small r. So the answer is, as you have rightly said, all of you, very good. So the answer is option A. Let us go for the next question. Very good, Chinmoy. So let us first of all read the question what is given here. The electric field assumed to be one-dimensional. So the electric field is assumed to be one-dimensional between 2 points A and B. So there is only one dimension. For example, you can consider the x direction. There is no y z direction. There is only x direction. So we are considering the electric field which is one-dimensional between 2 points A and B is shown. Let psi A and psi B be the electrostatic potential of these 2 points. Psi A and psi B are the electrostatic potentials of these 2 points. Now what we have to find is the psi B minus psi A. You have to find the psi B minus psi A. So it is given that psi A is the electrostatic potential of this point, psi B is the electrostatic potential of this point. So psi B minus psi A, if you are calculating this, it means that we are moving from the point A to the point B. We are moving from the point A to the point B, and we are integrating the electric field E dot dl. So psi B minus psi A means we are moving from the point A to point B, and there is an extra minus sign. There is a minus sign. This is what the formula says to us. Psi B minus psi A is going to be you are moving from the point A to point B, E dot dl with a minus sign. Because it is one dimensional, I can directly consider E dl, and you are moving from the point A to point B. So when you are moving from point A to point B, in a way you are integrating the electric field. We are integrating the electric field. There is nothing which is present here to integrate. So in the middle you are having this particular field profile which is given to us. So basically the integral from A to B is actually including this particular part, the area of it. Now what is that? It is nothing but a sort of a shape which includes a rectangle and a triangle. So minus of a rectangle here, 20 kilovolts, 20 into 10 power 3. And this I wanted to write in terms of centimeters, because here the unit is in terms of centimeters. So let me write 5 micrometers in terms of centimeters. 5 into 10 power minus 4 centimeters. So if I substitute that, 5 into 10 power minus 4 plus, this is the area of this rectangle, and the area of the triangle, This is 20, totally it is 40. It means that this part is going to have a height of 20 kilovolt per centimeter. So we know the area of a triangle, half into base into height. Half into base. Base is 5 into 10 power minus 4 into height, which is 20 into 10 power 3. 20 into 10 power 3. So here it is 0 gets cancelled out, here 0 gets cancelled out. In fact, the 2 is also going to get cancelled out. So here it is 10 and here it is 5. So it is minus 15 volts. It is minus 15 volts. Please write on equipotential surface. Equipotential surface. Before noting down the question which is there on the secondary screen, please write on equipotential surface. Equipotential surface. So what is this equipotential? What is the meaning of equipotential? If the value of potential at each and every point on the surface is same, if the value of the potential at each and every point is same, equal, then we are going to call such a surface as an equipotential surface. Then we can call such a surface as an equipotential surface. A surface where the potential remains constant the surface where the potential remains constant is known as equipotential surface. Is known as equipotential surface. A surface where the potential remains constant is known as equipotential surface. Is that clear? Now, we know that if I consider a point charge Q, then if I have a point at a distance of r, what is the potential value? If I have a charge Q and I wanted to find out what is the potential at this particular point r, which is at a distance of r, this is at a distance of r, then potential is given by a very simple formula, Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r. It means, don't you think so, that if the r remains constant, if I take another point which is at the same distance of r, then the potential is going to remain constant. So it means that if I consider this as if this is the center, any particular point which is present on the radius of r, is going to have the potential as constant, yes or no? Is going to have the potential as constant, yes or no? If I consider any particular point which is at a distance of r from this source, it will have the potential which is constant. It means that if I consider a point charge, then the equipotential for surface for it is going to be what? If I consider a point charge, then what would be the equipotential surface for it? The equipotential surface for the point charge is a spherical surface. Equipotential surface for the point charge is the spherical surface. And if I consider an infinite line charge, any particular point on the cylinder which is having a radius of r, which is having a radius of rho, will have the same potential according to the formula. V is going to be equal to rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught ln of 1 by rho. If the rho becomes constant, if the rho is constant, then the potential is constant. If the rho is constant, then the potential is also constant. So the equipotential surface in the case of the infinite line charge is a cylinder. Okay, these 2 points are important. That point number 1 is the equipotential surface for a point charge is equipotential surface for a point charge is a sphere, a spherical surface. The second point is the equipotential surface for an infinite line charge. Equipotential surface for an infinite line charge. Equipotential surface for an infinite line charge is a cylinder. Cylindrical surface. Is a cylindrical surface. What is the direction of electric field? Electric field for the same concept. The electric field is given by Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R square in the radial direction. Yes or no? This is the formula, corresponding electric field formula. It means for the same concept, I am having a sphere here, which is an equipotential surface, and if you see the direction of the electric field, what is this direction? This direction is nothing but the radial direction. Yes or no? Don't you think the electric field direction is in a radial direction in this case? Now, if it is in the radial direction, can I say that whatever electric field lines that I am drawing here, is perpendicular to the surface, is normal to the surface? Whatever electric field lines that I am drawing here, don't you think they are normal to the surface? And also you can consider this particular part where here the electric field is given as rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught rho A rho cap. The electric field is given by rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon naught rho A rho cap. Now here the electric field direction is in the radial direction. The electric field direction everywhere is in the radial direction. Now don't you think so that for this cylindrical surface, the direction of electric field is normal to it? For this cylindrical surface, the direction of electric field is normal to it, yes or no? So I can write the third point as a note point, that the direction of electric field is always normal. The direction of electric field is always normal to an equipotential surface. The direction of electric field is always normal to an equipotential surface. Right. So what is the question which is given here? Two electric charges Q and minus 2Q are placed at 0, 0 and 6, 0 on the xy plane. The equation of zero equipotential curve in the xy plane is dash. The equation of the zero equipotential curve in the xy plane is dash. So you are given two electric charges, right? We are given two electric charges, right? So one is present at the origin 0, 0 Q, and the second charge is present at 6, 0. So visibly it is present on the x-axis. So here the charge is Q and here the charge is minus 2Q. Okay, so this is the line which is joining both. Now we have to talk about the equipotential surface. Where the potential value is equal to 0. So what I can do is that I can select a point I can select a point. Let me call this particular point as x comma y. Let me call this particular point as x comma y. Now, at this particular point, if I consider that the potential is equal to 0, at this particular point, if I consider the potential is equal to 0, it means that the total potential is equal to 0 at the point x comma y. Then the total potential is nothing but the potential due to the point, the first charge, and the potential due to the second charge. So what are the contributors of potential here? The potential contribution is because of the first charge and also because of the second charge. So V1, V2. So the potential contribution because of the first charge is given by Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, the distance. What is this distance? The distance is nothing but under root of x square plus y square, and here it is minus 2q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. This particular distance is nothing but under root of x minus 6 whole square plus y square, and the total value is going to be equal to the top 0. The total value is equal to the top 0. So we can just remove the common parts. The common part is nothing but q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught is common part. So you're having 1 by under root of x square plus y square over here, minus 2 by under root of x minus 6 whole square plus y square is equal to 0. So you'll be having 1 by x square plus y square, and here it is 4 by x minus 6 whole square plus y square. So if you solve it, x minus 6 whole square, x square minus 12x plus 36 plus y square is equal to 4x square plus 4y square. So 3x square plus 3y square minus 12x plus 36. Minus 36. Or if I keep the 36 to the other side itself, then 3 taken as common, x square minus 4x plus 3, y square is equal to 36. So 3 gets cancelled out. This becomes 12. So x square minus 4x plus y square is equal to 12. If I add 4 on both sides, so this part is going to become x minus 2 whole square. X minus 2 whole square plus y square is equal to 4 square, which is also an equation of a circle. So the answer for this particular question is option D.